At our Thanksgiving feast, my sister rose from her seat and declared, "We took a vote and you're no longer part of this family." The room erupted in applause. I chuckled quietly and replied, "Well, I suppose you won't want this then." I set a folder on the table. The instant she flipped it open, she let out a piercing scream. Before we sliced into the turkey, Natalie stood, her face lit with that calculated, smug grin she always wore. "We have an announcement," she said, her voice dripping with drama. The table fell silent. Utensils hovered in midair. My stomach tightened. I knew that tone all too well. It was the same one she used when she got me in trouble at 14 for a party I never even attended. "We held a family vote," she went on, scanning the room like a politician savoring her moment. "And we've decided you're not family anymore." A pause, then cheers, cheers. My cousin Laura clapped like she was at a football game. Uncle Mitch raised his glass in a toast. Even my own mother, my own mother smirked and said, "Someone had to say it." I sat there motionless, staring at my cold, mashed potatoes, my anger simmering. My father didn't meet my eyes. He just sipped his beer and mumbled, probably for the best. "Wow," I said, easing my chair back deliberately. "Did you all practice this little performance?" Natalie's grin widened. "You've been poisoned for years. We're done faking it." "You're not family," my mother added, scooping mashed potatoes like we were chatting about the weather. "It's unanimous." I scanned the faces around the table. Not one person objected. Not a single one. "Fine," I said softly. "Then I guess this was expected." I reached into my bag. "I had a feeling this might happen," I said, placing a thick folder in the center of the table. The asterisk thud it made silence the laughter. Natalie frowned. "What's that?" I leaned back, crossed my arms, and gave a small smile. "Why don't you take a look?" She grabbed it and tore it open, her lips curled in that smug sneer she wore when she thought she'd won. Then she turned the first page. Her smirk vanished. Her face drained of color. She flipped to the next page, and the next. Then she screamed, a chilling horror movie scream. Her chair toppled as she shot to her feet, slamming the folder shut like it was on fire. "You're a monster," she shrieked. "You sick, twisted freak." Gasps rippled across the table. Joel, her husband, grabbed the folder and opened it. His jaw dropped. "Is this?" he started. I nodded once. "It's all real," I said. "Every detail, every transaction, every message." The room went silent. You could hear a spoon clatter in the kitchen. My mother's mouth opened, then snapped shut like a fish out of water. "You were so sure I'd just take it," I said, standing slowly. "So sure I'd stay quiet, the pushover, the bank account." I locked eyes with Natalie. "Your little act, it's finished." "Want to know what was in that folder? I'll get to that. But first, let me explain how we ended up here. Because Natalie didn't just wake up one day and decide I wasn't family. That choice was built over years, step by step, jab by jab, betrayal by betrayal. I was never their favorite, far from it. Natalie was the golden child, the star of the show, perfect grades, dazzling smile, a master at charming a crowd. She could lie to your face and make you feel grateful for it. Me, I was reserved. Private, I didn't crave the spotlight, and they despised that. They saw my quietness as fragility. I left home at 19, funded my own college, worked 2 jobs, never asked for a dime. Meanwhile, Natalie flunked out of 2 programs, took a soul-searching trip to Europe, then came back and married Joel, a walking resume in a suit jacket. Their wedding, I covered half the cost. My parents couldn't afford it, but somehow they managed a month-long vacation right after. I didn't protest. I never did. Even when they called me the family ATM, I kept helping, paying for Dad's knee surgery, covering Mom's overdue electric bill, even pitching in for Laura's tuition when her scholarship fell through. They'd say thanks, but with that tone, the one that implied, of course you'd help. You've got no one else to spend it on, and maybe that's what pushed me over the edge. See, I'm single, no kids, no partner, no chaos. Just me, my job, and my dog. To them, that meant I had nothing better to do than clean up their messes. Natalie, especially, treated me like her personal safety net. When Joel got laid off, she called me first. "Just a quick loan." When her car broke down, "You're making 6 figures, what's a few grand?" When her kid needed therapy and insurance wouldn't cover it, guess who she texted? I always stepped up. Always. Because I told myself that's what family does, but helping became an obligation, then an expectation, then a demand. It started small, snide remarks at dinner. "Oh, nice wine. Must be great to afford the fancy stuff. Of course you're here early, you don't have kids to deal with. I wish I could stay late at work and dodge my spouse too." Then it got nastier. "You're so distant. No wonder you're still single. You don't get what real stress is. You're just bitter because you don't have a real life." Except they did need me, constantly, financially, quietly, behind the scenes. And then came the text, from Natalie. Hey, can you cost a loan for our new wellness studio? Me, no. Natalie, seriously. Then radio silence. That was 3 months ago. After that, I got the cold shoulder. Mom stopped calling. Dad sent one-word texts. No one invited me to the last family dinner. Natalie blocked me online after posting about cutting out toxic people. But I didn't wallow. Instead, I started gathering evidence. Actual evidence. I'm meticulous. I keep records, bank statements, emails, screenshots, dates. I'm not careless. Over the past 5 years, I'd sent over $78,000 to family members. $78,000. $8,000 for Joel's treatment program. $2,300 for Natalie's emergency dental work, actually cosmetic veneers. $1,500 for Dad's shoulder surgery. $12,000 for Mom's credit card debt. $6,000 for Laura's dorm expenses. $4,500 for a family crisis that was really a vacation to Mexico. Not once did they offer to repay me, they just took. And when I stopped giving, they labeled me the villain, so I compiled the folder. Inside, every bank transfer, every email and text begging for cash. Screenshots of Natalie calling me, controlling to her friend for refusing the loan. A detailed log of every major payment I'd made in 5 years. And for good measure, copies of social media posts where they ridiculed me, like Natalie's private comment calling me a spineless cash machine, not knowing I could see it. That's what she saw when she opened the folder. That's why she screamed, because Natalie wasn't just caught. She was exposed piece by piece, page by page, and the family saw what they'd done. My mom looked like she might collapse. Joel. He stared at the line about $4,200 for Natalie's credit card, used at a hotel in Santa Barbara with someone named Alyssa, and muttered, "What's this?" I didn't respond. I didn't need to. For once, I wasn't defending myself. I was just laying out the truth. "You documented everything?" My mom stammered, her voice trembling. I turned to her, steady as ever. "You never kept track." "So I had to." Natalie stood there pale, fists balled at her sides. Her eyes flicked to Joel, to me, to the folder. "This is a betrayal," she hissed. "You had no right." "No right?" I cut in, standing slowly. "You just stood up and declared me not family. You all cheered, and now you're mad I came prepared?" Joel turned another page. "What's this about Santa Barbara?" he asked, his voice sharp. Natalie's head whipped toward him. "Don't start, Celissa," he pressed. "Why were you at a hotel for 3 nights on my asterisk card?" Her silence spoke louder than words. "Hold on," my mom interrupted, raising her hands. "Can we all just take a step back and be rational?" "Sure," I said. "Let's be rational. Let's talk about the time you called me selfish while depositing the check I sent." She blinked. "That's not fair. We were struggling." "No," I snapped. "You asterisk were struggling, and I fixed it every single time, and the one time I said no, I became the enemy." My dad, silent until now, finally spoke. "You're blowing this out of proportion." I turned to him, my voice low. "You let them do this to me for years. You saw it, you heard it, and you stayed quiet because it was easier." He didn't argue. Natalie slammed her hand on the table. "You're just jealous because no one needs you anymore." "Wrong," I said, ice in my voice. "I'm not jealous, I'm finished." She laughed, sharp and bitter. "You're pathetic, a folder, screenshots. You think this makes you the victim. It just shows you're obsessed." "And you," I replied, "only cared about me when I was paying your bills." "You don't get to play the saint," she yelled. "You chose to help. No one forced you. And yet," I said, stepping closer, "you expected it every time until it wasn't help anymore. It was my job, and when I stopped, you voted me out." My voice broke, not from sadness, but from fury. "You didn't want a brother, you wanted a bank account." Joel stood, clutching the folder. "Is this true?" he asked Natalie. "All of it?" Natalie looked at him, speechless for once. No tears, no excuses, just silence. "You lied," he said. "About the hotel, the money, him, you made it sound like he asterisk was the problem." "I had to," she burst out. "He was turning everyone against me." "I wasn't," I said. "You managed that all on your own." The room fell silent again. My mom leaned forward, her voice softer now. "Sweetheart, we might have overreacted, but we're still family. Families argue. Let's move past this." I cut her off. "You're not listening. I'm not asking for peace. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm telling you I'm done." Natalie scoffed. "Oh, please, you've said that before." I looked her in the eyes. "Not like this." I reached into my jacket and pulled out another envelope. "What now?" my dad asked, sounding drained. I tossed it onto the table. Joel caught it before it slid off. He opened it. "Read the first line." His eyes widened. "What is this?" he whispered. I answered for him. Power of attorney for mom, canceled medical proxy, canceled emergency contact, removed. I've already signed everything. I'm no longer legally or emotionally tied to any of you. My mother gasped. You're cutting us off completely? Completely, I said, starting now. You're being selfish, she said, tears welling. We messed up, but we're still your family. I turned to her, my voice steady and final. No, you're not. I grabbed my jacket, gave them one last look, and walked out, leaving them in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner, stunned and silent, surrounded by cold food and harsh realities. I stepped out and didn't look back, not because it didn't hurt. It did. But as I shut the door, stepped off their porch, and felt the crisp night air, something inside me shifted. For the first time in years, I felt free. I didn't drive home right away. I pulled over by the lake where Dad used to take me fishing as a kid. I sat there, staring at the calm water, and felt something new. No weight on my shoulders, no guilt. No one waiting for a loan or a favor, just peace. The next morning, quiet. The day after, still quiet. But on the third day, the messages started. First, my mom, a missed call, then another. Then a voicemail. Did you mean it? We were upset, but we're still your family. I didn't respond. Then Natalie texted. You don't realize what you've done. Joel's filing for divorce. Happy now. You're seriously messed up. Then my dad. You went too far. We all said things we didn't mean, but this was cruel. Your mom's falling apart. Fix this. I didn't reply to any of them, and honestly, I thought I'd feel bad. I thought I'd lie awake, wondering if I'd gone overboard, but instead I slept better than I had in years. No more overthinking every message. No more bracing for the next crisis. No more late-night payment requests or guilt trips posing as emergencies. For the first time in a decade, I could hear my own thoughts. I started waking up early, going for walks, savoring my coffee. I booked appointments I'd delayed for years, dentist, doctor, even a counselor. Not because I was broken, but because I could finally focus on myself. I updated my emergency contacts, removed my parents, changed my passwords, locked down every shared account they could access, blocked Natalie everywhere. It wasn't about spite. It was about moving on. A week after Thanksgiving, I got a text from Laura, the cousin who cheered when they voted me out. I didn't know you paid for my school. I'm sorry. I just went along with everyone. You were the one who actually helped. I didn't reply, but I read it twice. Then, a surprise, a message from Joel. I filed the papers. Everything in the folder checked out. She cheated, lied, manipulated, not just you, me too. You did the right thing. I should have left her sooner. I wasn't expecting that, but it hit home. A few days later, I did something I hadn't done in years. I applied for a job in a new city, not to escape, but because I was finally free. No more stay close for family. No more who'll take care of them if you go. I reconnected with friends I'd drifted from, too busy with family drama. And the craziest part, some saw my Reddit post. They reached out saying, we're proud of you, that took guts. No one asked for money, no one guilt-tripped me, just pure support. Someone asked, don't you regret it? I thought for a moment. Only that I didn't do it sooner. I thought that was the end, and in a way it was, but with people like them, things never wrap up neatly. Especially when they start feeling the consequences of your absence. The weeks after Thanksgiving were calm. Blissfully, eerily calm, no calls, no guilt, just peace, until Christmas. On December 22nd, my mom texted a photo. Their living room, stockings hung, a half-decorated tree, and a glaring empty spot where the gifts usually piled up. It's not the same without you, the caption read. Ellie keeps asking why Uncle's not coming. I stared at it for a while, no apology, no accountability, just the same old manipulation. Look what you've done, look who you're hurting. I didn't reply. December 23rd, Natalie called. I let it go to voicemail. Then she texted, I know I screwed up, but you don't have to hurt everyone. Come for Ellie, she misses you. 2 minutes later. Also, Mom and Dad are behind on their mortgage. I knew they didn't care anymore, but the bank reached out today. Thought you'd want to know. There it was. The demand, always cloaked in a veil of guilt, wrapped in a pretense of gentleness. But it always led to the same place, a plea. I blocked the number. December 24th. Another message, this time from Dad. You've made your point, we understand, but this has gone far enough. We need support. We're still your kin. That evening I sat by the fireplace with a glass of wine. I looked around my modest apartment. No decorations, no clamor, just me and the quiet they always warned would ruin me. And for the first time ever I was grateful for that quiet, but it didn't stop there. January rolled around. A call came from an unfamiliar number. I answered out of reflex. Is this Daniel? A man's voice asked. Yes. Who's this? I'm Mark, he said. I'm calling about your father. He said you're the main executor of the family estate. I froze. I stepped down from that role 2 months ago, I replied. It's been finalized with the family lawyer. My name's off everything. He paused. I see. Your dad mentioned he couldn't contact you directly and asked me to look into options. They're in a tough spot. Of course they were. Natalie and my parents had run out of lifelines. The cash machine was shut down. The safety net had vanished. Now they were getting inventive. I ended the call without another word. But the breaking point came in February. An envelope arrived in the mail. Handwritten. No sender's address. But I knew my mother's handwriting instantly. Inside was a letter 3 pages long. The first page dripped with remorse. We spoke out of anger. You've always been the dependable one. We didn't see how much we relied on you. The second page shifted to guilt. Your father's health is failing. Natalie's on her own now. We're worried about Ellie. She's struggling. And the third page, that was the bait. We're selling the house, but we're behind on the mortgage. We just need a little help to get by. Then we'll never ask again. Please, Daniel, do it for your dad. Do it for the family. I sat with the letter for a while, let myself absorb every bit of what they wanted me to feel. The burden of duty, the bite of obligation, the deep urge to mend what was broken. Then I folded the letter, stood up, walked to the kitchen, and dropped it in the trash. The reality is they weren't asking for help. They were asking for access. Again, they didn't want me back in the family. They wanted the version of me who never said no. The one who paid quietly, sacrificed quietly, suffered quietly. But that version of me, he's gone. I'm not their punching bag anymore. I'm not their cash cow. I'm not the glue holding a fractured home together. I am done. And the scariest part for them, I'm thriving without them. I landed a new job, moved to a new city, bigger apartment, fresh start. I started volunteering on weekends, not because anyone needed me, but because I chose to. I built a life where no one texts me at midnight to fix their mistakes, where I'm not penalized for being self-sufficient. Where kindness isn't weaponized. I don't regret supporting them, but I do regret how long it took me to stop. Want to know what true peace feels like? It's not being surrounded by family. It's being free from people who only call you family when they need something. Update months later. I didn't expect this post to get noticed. Honestly, I just needed to get it out, to put it somewhere. But I read every comment. The people who said you were courageous. They don't deserve you. Thank you. I didn't realize how much I needed to hear that until I did. And to the few who asked, what if they change? Yeah, I've wondered that too. It's been months now. They didn't change. After I cut them off, after the folder, after the yelling and the silence and the letters, I thought maybe, just maybe, someone would understand. That they'd reflect. That they'd say, we're sorry. They didn't. They went quiet for a bit, then they got cunning. Then they got desperate. Then they got cruel again. But me? I got free. Since then, I moved to a new place, got a job that doesn't keep me awake, started therapy, real therapy. The kind where you stop trying to save everyone else and learn how to be with yourself. I cook for myself now. I sleep better. I spend more time outside. I don't tense up when my phone pings. And yeah, sometimes I think about Ellie, about what she's learning, about what she'll grow up thinking is normal. But I also know this. I was the example of someone who finally said enough. A few days ago, I got another letter. Handwritten, from my mom, 3 words. We're still family. No explanation, no apology, no change, just the same old trap. And for the first time I felt nothing, no anger, no sorrow, just emptiness. I tossed it out and made dinner, so now I'm back here. Because this place gave me a clarity I didn't expect. Strangers saw me more clearly than my own blood ever did. So here's what I want to ask. Did I do the right thing, cutting them off, letting go of the burden, saying no? And meaning it, was I too harsh? Or was I finally done being the only one keeping it all together? I don't know, but I do know this. For the first time in my life, I'm not just surviving, I'm living. Thanks for reading, still listening.